Hi guys, welcome back. We have one more episode today. It's episode 13 and I have amazing Steven Cormann, which works as a lead matte painter, concept artist at ILM, Axis and other companies, and I'm sure that you saw his work because it's freaking awesome. I have been following his work for quite a long, I think since I joined the industry, Steven, to be honest, and I had a pleasure to meet him at THU. One awesome
Right.
guy. Hi Steven,
Hello, what's up?
how's it going?
I'm good. I'm a bit exhausted, so yeah, I wasn't expecting at all to be to do a live stream today, but it's quite nice.
Yeah, it's you jumped in and I'm so fucking grateful about it because you jumped in. I asked you immediately, can you join today? And I'm so happy that you joined, man, because we're gonna talk about you and your work, which was always insane to me, man. You do
Thanks, man.
such amazing stuff, and I every time I saw. By the way, your work was one of the first works that I saw when I entered the industry.
Oh, really? I'm
Yeah,
honored.
and I was blown away because it was totally different from what I do. And
Yeah, it's true. We don't do the same stuff at all. It's true. Yeah.
but
I don't. When was the first time I met you? I think it was at IFCC, right?
yeah, we met at ICC in
Briefly.
2016. Till
Yeah.
2016.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a
Years
drink.
ago.
We had a drink. So
Awesome.
it was super fun.
Yeah.
Were you this year at the ICC in Split?
I wasn't at IFCC this year. No. I mean, now that I work in house, I have less free time, so I'm skipping most of the events. I will just be there at THU this year,
Yeah, we're gonna grab a drink because I will be also
for
on
sure.
THU.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is what did you study? Did you study actually, and how did you move and enter this business?
Yeah, well, it's a long story. I'm gonna try to keep it short because it's quite a long and complicated story. So, I mean, I've always been interested in films, and VFX, um, and art in general. I used to draw a lot when I was a kid, so I've always wanted to do something in films. But I mean, I don't know if it's because I was in my countryside, like in Belgium. I mean, first in the USA, then I moved to Belgium, but I never felt like it was something possible. You know what I mean? Because I was born in the 80s, like before internet and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had no idea how you would get into movies. And at that time, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do in movies. It could be like acting or directing and also VFX. I wasn't sure. So to keep it short, once again, what I did is that I never tried to work on movies until very late in my life, until I was almost 30. So that was like about 5 years ago. And before that, instead, I studied first biology, and then I did music for a while. So I was a drummer in a band. And that was like my main focus. So
Mm.
music was my life for a very long time until 2000 and maybe 14, something like that. I mean, I still do music. That's not what I mean, but uh, I had the idea to work in VFX in 2014, I think. So that's when I really started, because I realized that times had changed. And I was doing some Photoshop also on the side because I was doing like album covers for my band and stuff like that. But I had never like any professional goal in that field. But when I discovered this thing called matte painting, I realized, okay, you know what? Those guys who do matte painting, they actually use Photoshop sort of the same way I do. So when I realized that, I saw a way. I realized, okay, now times have changed. You can actually do this stuff. You can learn it on your own. And that was like a big revelation for me. So that really motivated me a lot. And so that's how I got the idea to completely switch careers and to focus on getting in films. So that was in 2014, yeah.
Yeah, it was 2014. By the way, you played amazing drums on THU. I remember that. I was listening to it and
Thanks,
watching.
man.
You kick some ass with the drums, I must admit.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I've been playing for a long time now. It's been 20 years, I think, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah, time really flies. But were you always a creative person? Because now when you're talking
Yeah,
about it, yeah, you were always creative.
absolutely. But I never thought that I would have a career in anything creative. Even when I was doing music, I had a hard time imagining that I would really be able to earn a living with that. Even though at some point, we were, I guess, quite successful in our underground style of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I never really thought I would have a career in something creative until very late.
Yeah, I see. But your art is amazing, man. I'm now
Thank
looking
you.
at it. It's crazy. Outriders, for example, looks I don't know how to explain it, because for me this is magic. I never did this kind of stuff. Everything is blending so nice, and you're using 3D. I know that you're using
Yeah.
also a lot of 3D because you post videos.
Yep.
There was a video that you posted, it was a couple of weeks ago, and you posted it was a sea, and the camera was flying
Yep.
over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, I mean, this is what I do mostly. So I do like finished shots, animated shots. And for that, I use a blend of techniques, 2D and 3D techniques. It really depends, you know. It's really a generalist job.
you use photos quite a lot, I can see that.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. I mean, when you're a matte painter, you use a lot of 2D techniques. And when it comes to 2D, it's usually using a lot of photos and digital painting. And you also use a lot of 3D. So it's really a blend of a lot of different techniques, yeah.
do you want to explain people what matte painting is? Because I know
Sure,
that I struggled quite long to understand what matte painting is, what
sure.
environment design is. So please, can you explain us?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think a lot of people are kind of confused. I mean, but it's quite clear actually. Matte painting, technically, is only about creating like environments for like post-production of a film, cinematic, TV show, or whatever. It's about, in essence, creating an environment that is not there in post-production. For example, you would shoot something in green on a green screen, and the green screen needs to be replaced by a location environment that doesn't exist. So a matte painter or an environment artist needs to create that. So that, in essence, what matte painting is. Now, in today's industry, that involves a lot of different skills, I guess, and different. You have a lot of different types of matte painters. Some people are still fully 2D, so they will only do like the photo manipulation, painting thing stuff. And you also have guys like me who will mostly use whatever technique to do like a full shot from scratch to finish. So that is what I do mostly. I do shots like I'm given like a camera. Okay, we need to see this in this shot, and I will do it.
I understand. I love
Yeah.
that you're blending so many techniques, because for me that's very important in nowadays. I know that there are some hardcore guys which are always 2D only.
Yeah.
That's I mean in every side of our profession that there are those guys. But I think that the world is very evolving, and I like to see that you are using that many things to
Yeah.
accomplish. As you said, the final result is important.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, in my case, I never felt involved or felt any need to participate in this debate about 2D versus 3D. I mean, I couldn't care less because from the start, all that was important for me was to create cool stuff that inspired me, and I don't care at all how I get to that point.
Yeah, smart. But did you draw with your hand
Yeah.
ever with a pen? And how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I should mention that as well. So as I said, I was drawing a lot when I was a kid, and then I went on to study biology. But after that, I actually did 1 year of art school because the biology thing didn't work for me. I mean, I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at this point. So I tried to study illustration, and I did that for 1 year. So I draw nonstop like for 1 year. That was in 2003, so it's been a long time ago now. But still, I was drawing like,
Long time ago.
yeah, I know. So I was drawing a lot, like maybe 12, 13 hours per day. So at that point, my level got pretty good. And even though I completely stopped drawing for a very long time, you know, the fundamentals were still there. So it's still something that I didn't skip, even though I don't draw that much these days, except to do like maybe rough thumbnail sketches. The fundamentals are still there. And I think they helped me quite a lot, probably.
Yeah, man, the fundamentals are so important. I'm always saying to everybody that, and the new generation that came from my experience. So we
Hmm.
are having now that it's a period where the 3D is still a fresh thing.
Yep.
It is in the industry, but it is still a fresh thing. And when the student comes, they're all trying to do 3D, and that is
Yeah.
okay. But without the fundamentals, the work's never gonna look good in most of the times because
Yeah,
it's hard.
absolutely. I mean, you need to know the fundamentals about composition at the very least, and you need to understand lighting. It's funny because a lot of people ask me quite often, like, do you have any advice for like CG lighting? Well, no, CG lighting is the same as practical lighting. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
smart. I agree. I,
Yeah.
it is completely the same. And do you take photographies and stuff like that?
I do, yeah. I mean, nothing really too advanced, but I shoot occasionally some of my own references, yeah. I have a DSLR, so yeah, I do some photo.
because you really understand light, and as you said now, you really understand everything. When I'm looking at this stuff, it's like a real stuff, which is quite important in matte
Yeah, I
painting.
mean, I spend a lot of time, looking at nature and trying to understand how light works, how, it makes the fog behave, perspective and stuff like that. So yeah, I spend a lot of time observing, I would say.
You spend a lot of time observing nature. What is there else that inspires you? Is nature the main thing that inspires you, or?
Definitely cinema. If you take a look at my work, pretty much everything that I do is sort of meant to be like a frame of a movie. It's always very cinematic, at least that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
So I would say that, yeah, most of my influences are in cinema more than maybe in today concept artist, I guess, even though I admire a lot of people. But most of my inspiration comes from films, I think.
Yeah, I can see that on your work. I can see that on your work, the colors and everything. It is definitely cinematic shots, and I think that's why I like them so much.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time watching lighting tutorials for films, for example. Then I just apply this thing to my own art. Same for like cinematic color grading and stuff like that. And I then just apply that to the work I do.
So you watched different outside of the box tutorials. You didn't watch the concept art tutorials, but you watched
Yeah, I
the.
mean, no, I really didn't watch a lot of tutorials, except a few Gnomon DVDs. Outside of that, I tend to watch much more like, cinema tutorials about how to light a set and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, all of us that started a bit earlier to enter this, we are all talking about those Gnomon CDs.
Yeah.
They're literally like, they were for us, I think, like milk for children when they are little, you know?
Yeah. I mean, now it's true that you have Gumroad and Learn Squared, but I really like the Gnomon stuff because usually it's, I mean, I could always find exactly what I was looking for on that website. I wanted to be a matte painter. Well, I could find the exact lessons that I needed to learn. So, yeah.
Yeah, because Gnomon, yeah, I wish they still created. I know they create tutorials, but I wish there were more of them. They were epic.
Hmm.
They were epic, like
Yeah.
eye-opening, literally.
Yeah.
You work both in the games and movies, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, what I do mostly, so at Axis, it's game cinematics. Even though, I mean, there's stuff I cannot talk about yet, but there's going to be also some VFX on TV shows. So that's pretty exciting. But before that, yeah, I was at ILM, so there it was mostly movies. I also work freelance on some film stuff that I cannot talk about yet, unfortunately.
NDAs.
But yeah, when I say I work in games, it's actually only games cinematics. Like I never ever worked on the design of a video game, for example.
Yeah, I
It's
understand.
only in game cinematics.
I see, and I saw the Axis trailer that came out
Yeah,
on E3. Sava
yeah,
Živković and the crew were there,
yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah. So that's the work I've been doing now for the past year almost, I think, at Axis. So it's a lot of fun stuff. What's cool is that those projects are usually a lot smaller than big films, meaning that I can work on like 3, 4 different projects in 6 months. So that's pretty nice.
yeah, that's great because you can relax your brain a bit from the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of diversity in the work. So it's pretty cool.
So it happens for you from time to time that you get a little bit tired. Is there any way that you cope with it? Because I know many artists have that. I also have it. And how do you
Uh,
cope with that?
yeah, that's a really good question.
Play drums, ding 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 ding.
I cannot play drums at the moment, unfortunately, because I'm in my apartment, so I cannot have the drum set here. But what I do is I have my own project, my side project I'm doing for me on the side, so that keeps me occupied. Otherwise, I just go hiking, walking, go to the gym as much as possible.
Interesting. What kind
Yeah.
of project do you want to share with us a little bit if you can?
Well, I can just say that it's gonna be a short film. So it's an IP, but I'm gonna first do a short film out of it. Probably
Nice.
between 5 and 7 minutes CG short film. So right now I have the writing that is done, and at the moment I'm designing.
Awesome. Awesome. I always like personal projects because I'm working on my Inside 44 for last 3 years.
Yeah, I know. I've been following that.
Thanks, and I have a huge respect for everybody who's doing their project because I know they eat your soul literally. It,
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's very difficult because you put so much pressure on your shoulders for this, for some reason. So the thing that I do sometimes, then that is too much pressure, then I would just do like a single image just for myself without any kind of pressure. Like most of the stuff you can see on my workstation, that is the stuff that I do when I just want to get out a personal image without thinking about it too much, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean when the it's crazy because it's different from the work. Yeah, I mean you worked with the big clients. I also work with some big
Yeah.
clients, and then when you're doing your personal project, it's completely different because I think a lot of stuff are riding only on your shoulders.
Yeah.
On a big project, you have other designers, you have a director, you have a manager,
Exactly.
production, everything. And here you are
Hmm.
doing it all, and you are doing it in the shadow. So there is
Absolutely.
always that question, what will happen? You know,
Yeah,
there is
absolutely. No,
riding
it's
many
definitely
roles.
very stressful, but it's also very rewarding, I guess. Or at least it will be when it's finished because it's so much work. It's gonna take me at least one more year, I think.
Oh, one more year. Nice.
Yeah, at least.
I'm finishing mine in, I hope, 5 months after 3 years of
Nice.
straight.
Yeah.
And I think I have gray hair from it.
But the thing is that, to be honest, until now, I didn't have much time to focus on it anyway. I mean, it was my goal from the start when I entered the industry to make films. But first, because I was jobless, 5 years ago. But my first goal was to first, be established in the industry. So I would have like a regular income, but also being established in the industry so I can make like good connections. So during those 5 years, I tried to make films on the side, but just trying to be like a successful matte painter was enough work by itself. So it's only now, since very recently, that I feel like I'm finally able to make enough time to work on my side project without having to worry too much about the day job.
I understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is hard building your name in this industry. It's really
Yeah.
really hard, but you
Yeah.
managed to do it, man. Congrats on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's
That
one thing I've been able to do.
it's a huge thing, man. It's a huge thing. I think it's the most important. Then you
Yeah.
can, as you're saying, you can do your side projects because you have steady income and you're not gonna stress yourself will you pay the rent and stuff like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you mentioned connections and you visited festivals like ICC, THU, and do you think that those festivals are really good for connections?
Yeah, I mean, in my case, it was very helpful. I'm convinced it helped me a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, what I did, the way I did it, to sum it all up very quickly, from the start, I started to work really hard, like up to 16, sometimes 18 hours per day, which sounds insane to me now, but that's what I did at first. And I just uh, posted my work everywhere, like on a very regular basis. And I also went to the events. So slowly I started to know people, and that's how the connections got made. And that's how I got my first jobs. So yeah, in my case, it definitely helped a lot, I think.
Yeah, the festivals they're super important. I
Yeah.
mean, for connections and everything, and for hanging out with people because
Yeah.
I think you learn a lot, not just about the art, but you learn a lot about the industry. You learn how the things function, and I suggest everyone to go to them because they can turn
Absolutely.
their career upside down in 1 second.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Yep.
Yeah, it is very interesting
Hmm.
places.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I want to ask you, do you have maybe some process that you want to show us and so people can see or maybe we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I won't be able to show a lot of 3D sadly because I just tried to open a few scenes, but for some because I'm on my new workstation and my old projects don't open, so I can only show the Photoshop stuff sadly. But I guess it's still quite interesting.
I'm
So
sure it's very interesting. I can't
I
wait to
can
see
still
it.
show like a few breakdowns of a few images I have, I guess. Yeah. So
Let's
do
do
you want
it.
me to share my screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen and I will.
Okay, so how does this work again? I'm so bad at Skype. Okay, share
Uh,
screen. Okay, I
y-
got it.
okay.
I think I got it. Yeah, share screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
always saying to everybody it is crazy how much the Skype changed because
I know, yeah.
I mean
I
sometimes I don't really understand what's happening, you know.
yeah, I feel like every time I connect to Skype, everything has changed and I'm completely lost.
Yeah, true that. Now I'm having a problem removing my contacts literally. Oh my God, what the hell is happening? Wait. I need to move them. I don't know why this is happening.
Yeah, no, it is really a pain. Yeah.
What the hell
Okay,
is
so
happening with my Skype? No worry, we can continue talking as I figure out this. I will ask you a question as I'm figuring out this because,
okay,
okay, we
no
entered the
problem.
full screen, but now we have your camera. Okay, we are fixed. Oh my god. If somebody from Skype is watching this, please change it. So we can see your screen with the horses and the spaceships.
Yeah,
That looks amazing. I mean, the mood is spot on, man.
thanks, man. Yeah, so that's an image I did just for personal fun a few months ago. It is actually heavily 3D based, and I can show quickly a little breakdown. I haven't prepared anything, so it might take me a few minutes to understand what's going on in the layers because
No
I never
worries.
name my layers whatsoever.
Yeah, that's one of the things that designers always do, man. It's a chaos.
Yeah, I know. So, but typically, what I would always do is try to find like a single piece of reference, so a backplate, a photo, that I will try to match in terms of lighting and fog, atmospheric perspective. So I usually start from the back. So in this case, I had this photo. I think that's where I started from. So just a simple photo, and I would then build my image on top of that using 2D or CG. It really depends. It depends on the job. Sometimes I still do stuff full 2D at work. It really depends.
So that image is there to make you a mood and everything for the colors.
Yeah, I mean, because what I found, over the years is that when you do digital art or CG, is that how would I say this? You have basically an unlimited amount of possibilities where you can take the lighting and colors. But if you want to do something photoreal, which I need to do at work, why not try to find a photo and try to obey the rules of that photo? That will completely limit the choices you can make, and it will make your work much more photoreal, in my opinion. So it's not what you need to do if you want to do something not photoreal, but if you want to do something really photorealistic, I think this is my approach, and it works for me. So yeah, so I would start from the back, and then I guess I would just paint over. I don't even remember. Yeah, that's just the sky. But
Okay.
okay, I'm gonna try to explain in the order that I actually did the image, which is not necessarily the order of the layers.
Okay.
So okay, so I think I had first here my background photo. Then I did a 3D scene, and here I have the raw render, which is this one. So this is the render that I get out of 3D.
So
So
everything there is a render
yeah,
or
this is a render without any kind of post work on top of it. What you see here is
the
only
trees, the horse, everything, or I'm mistaken about that?
yeah, everything is completely 3D here. What you can see.
Man, your lights and materials are like photoreal.
Thanks, dude. Well, I use also a lot of stuff that comes from Megascan, which is a really awesome resource, and I have it actually open here if you can see it. This is the Megascan bridge, so they have all those scans, and with one click I can just import that into my scene, so that helps a lot, obviously. I have
Yeah.
also a big library of trees that I can use. Then I do some shading for the water, some modeling for the tower, and stuff like that.
Speaking about that, which software are you using? Quixel, I can see Megascans. Do you use
Yep,
Quixel
and
for texturing?
I use the Quixel mixer for texturing, even though more and more, and I wish I could show that, but I won't be able because my Maya stuff is not working. What I usually do now is simply import a lot of shaders coming from the Megascan bridge. So, for example, this is a titleable shader here, the soil, and I would import a bunch of them. And then I would do smart shaders inside of Maya using Redshift. So I do a blend material. For example, I would import this shader, then also a snow shader, and then using like a bunch of utility nodes, I would control how much snow I want on this ground, according, for example, to the slope of the terrain. So I do a lot of procedural shaders.
But that Quixel Megascans, they can be used in any program, right?
I think so. I mean, yeah, it's just textures. So yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
The thing is that you can either download and then rebuild the shader or the asset yourself in your 3D scene, or you can use the live link, which I have here. So for example, when I click export, I have, yeah, it won't work here, obviously, because I don't have Maya opened. But basically, in 2 clicks, you can have your shader or asset ready to be used in your scene.
I see.
Yeah. So
Interesting,
that's
very.
something really useful. Yeah.
I tried Quixel like 3 years ago, and it was amazing then. I'm sure that it has improved insanely.
Yeah, actually, it has improved a lot because 3 years ago they still had the Quixel suite, but that doesn't exist anymore to my knowledge. Now instead they have something that is meant, I guess, to replace Photoshop. It's the Quixel mixer, in which you can build your own materials using all the scans they have. You can blend them together and create your own custom shader.
I see.
So that's something really useful, yeah. So yeah, so this is my raw render. If I bring back quickly the sky I had behind, this is what I have after having my background photo and the 3D. So as you can see, I try to do a lot in 3D. I mean, it depends, but in this case, I wanted to push the 3D as much as I could.
Okay.
And then I do some paint over, like you can see here. So adding a lot of details to the water, some extra fog.
You do that with a texture, or this was done from photos?
Yeah, it's using from photos and painting mostly. Yeah.
Nice.
And one thing I also decided to do while I was doing the image is to introduce some sunlight, as you can see on the trees. So what I did is to go back in my 3D scene, just put the sun, render it, and then mask that inside of Photoshop, just to have the sun piercing through the clouds, so the sun would hit the trees here in the tower, which wasn't my initial intention, actually. I just wanted to do something completely overcast. But then while I was doing it, I decided to add some sun. So I went back into 3D to do another render with sun on it.
I see. And when you're making a scene, what I want to know is, when you're making a scene for a movie or a game,
yeah,
you get what kind of brief mostly do you get? Do you get storyboards, or you get written? How does that work?
What do we get almost every time is a layout. So a layout is like a rough version of the scene in 3D. So I have the camera and maybe some rough geometry of the location. And then it's up to me to build all that and to make it look pretty, according to very often a piece of concept art that we get. Or sometimes it's just up to me to come up with everything. That can also happen. At the moment, I'm doing something at work, I think, for which we only have like a vague concept art. So it's pretty much up to me to design everything and to figure out the lighting properly. So it really depends. But usually we get a 3D camera. That's the basic thing. A previs, so like a block out. So basic geometry of the scene and the camera.
I see.
And from there, I just keep on building the scene.
And they write you, probably they tell you what kind of mood they want to get from the scene.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time we get a color script. So we do have a piece of concept art, but not always. Sometimes it's also up to me. We just get references. So it depends.
I see.
Yeah. And then, yes, sorry, that's my dog. I'm sorry. It's just because somebody just closed the doors quite violently, so he's now super nervous. Shh.
He saw the photo and he was like, "What kind of horses are these? My owner is leaving me. He's gonna go ride a horse."
Exactly. Yeah. So from there, I just keep on building the image. I paint little details on top of it, some extra fog here. Just to, I guess at this point, my goal was to slightly actually stylize the image, if I could say. I started from a very photoreal base, but then I wanted to make something a bit less realistic with like the sun piercing through the clouds. And that's why I decided to change the sky at this point. So I did another sky here, as you can see. That is not super realistic, but I decided to go for it. Okay, let's do something a bit stylized, a bit too epic to be real, but it doesn't matter. Like something
but it works.
More like
it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it works nicely, and it's what I wanted to do in the end, so why not? I guess I used the photo at first just to have a solid foundation, but then I can always change it. Because if you take a look, my base photo doesn't have any sun. It's just me decided to change that.
I see.
So, yeah, painting some extra atmospherics like God rays and stuff like that. And some more rain coming here on the top right of the image. And I think that's almost it, actually. Yeah, some more rain again. Then some just color grading, and that's basically it. And it's over.
How long does it take you to do this kind of piece?
This image, since it didn't need to be animated, I think it took me about 3-4 days, something like that.
In 3-4 days, you make this. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it can take longer. It really depends. When I'm at work, when I need to do like a full environment shot all by myself, It can take easily up to 1 month, to be honest.
Ooh, 1 month. Yeah, that's quite a long time. Yeah, that is quite a long time.
I mean, it
But
really depends. If I take, for example, this shot here that I did for one of those E3 traders. So this is a shot that I did pretty much all by myself.
so you
And
did
this,
everything in the animation, everything you put.
except the character. That's not what I do in the foreground here. But I did
Whoa,
everything you see behind,
whoa. That's yeah, you're raising it on the next level. I mean, I didn't know you
yeah.
do also. I know that you did animation, but I didn't know you do it for work.
Yeah, no, that's what I do at work. When you're a matte painter, you do shots like this, finished shots. So it needs to be animated most of the time, obviously.
Your personal project is gonna be sure interesting.
So yeah, so that's what I do. And a shot like this, I think, took me 3 weeks to complete. So it really depends.
Yeah, because there is animation, there is everything. I mean, I understand.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
4K. It's a 4K, right?
This one wasn't 4K, but the other ones I did for Outriders, that one was 4K, I think.
Yeah. What I want to ask you, because we have a question here, guys. By the way, hit the subscribe button because we'll bring more guests like this. And if you have any questions, ask Steven because he's awesome and his work is awesome. This is a rare opportunity that you can ask him stuff, and I'm sure you're curious, you want to know about it. So we have a question, and they are asking already. Are you working currently with ILM?
No, right now I'm at Axis Animation since December and until December. Yep, I decided to. One of the reasons I decided to come here was because actually I wanted to focus mostly on my short film, as I talked about. And while working for a very big VFX company is really cool, in a city like London, you get very little free time, in my opinion, and it can be quite stressful. So I felt like this year was the right moment to take on a steady job in a smaller city where I could live right next to work, and also in a job where I would actually have a lot more control over my shots. And just so I can have I wanted to chill for a year, basically have a bit of a less stressful life so I can focus mostly on my short film on the side.
How did it happen that you were contacted by ILM to work? Because I know every
Yeah.
designer that starts working is like ILM, ILM. I mean,
Yeah.
they are the company to be at. Like everybody would like to.
But to, let me, to be honest, I mean, I think there were a few different things that played in my favor. In my case, I think I did in 2016. So the ILM Art Department Challenge. That's my dog again. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries.
So in 2016, I did this. I did the challenge on our station in 2016, and that was the first time I got in touch with the guys at ILM. And I think from there it was just a matter of the timing being right, because that's always the thing, Even when they have you on their radar, the timing needs to be right. Like when they have an opening, usually if you're not available right away, usually, the job will go to somebody else, obviously. So in my case, it took a little bit of time until the timing for everybody was right. And that's how I got the job, I think.
Yeah, you had a good timing. But speaking about that, when you say, I mean, I every time I get an email from a big company, it's
Yeah.
literally in matter of hours you need to respond, so they
Yeah.
know that you are ready. And if you don't respond, if I remember that I was contacted to work on one big project, and they were like, sent me an email, and I responded 3 hours later or something like that. And they
Yeah.
wrote me back. They were like, we took already other designer. I was like, I was in a gym. I was working out. Why are you doing this to me? So yeah,
Yeah, I know. But you know what? What I also found out is that whenever a big company contacts you, usually you end up having a job later. Actually, that's usually how it happens. It's a
yeah.
first contact, but usually the job actually happens much later, 1 or 2 years later. So it's nothing lost. I mean, don't be disappointed if you don't get the job right away. I guess there's always another opportunity coming later.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because that was happening to me in the first year, and I was
Yeah,
contacted, and but nothing was realizing and nothing was happening, and I
yeah,
was like, what is happening? I'm getting emails every month and not a
I
single
know.
project, and but it was their way of saying that they noticed me, and then
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
1 year later, some started to call me. So that's very important for young artists to know that it takes time. It takes time to build the momentum, and when the wheel starts
Yeah,
spinning, it starts taking more and more goods.
absolutely, absolutely. And also, I think in my case, I mean, I'm more in the VFX industry now, so I guess more for VFX artists than concept artists. Being on LinkedIn is quite important. That's where now I get most of my job emails, I guess, more than on ArtStation these days. On ArtStation, it's more for, I guess, the concept art gigs or for independent workers who want to hire people. But the big companies usually reach out to me on LinkedIn. So I guess it depends. Yeah, it's more for VFX artists, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends. Some people get on Instagram, some on Facebook, some on ArtStation.
Yeah, I mean,
some
I recently had like a super, I mean, I would say like the biggest job offer I ever had. I had it on Instagram. So,
yeah,
so it
there
can
goes.
happen like that as well, you know?
Yeah, there are no rules, but the more visible you are, the more people will know about you and the more of them can reach you.
Yeah, it's sort of part of the game. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So I do have a couple of other images if you guys want to see. It's pretty much the same process, but I can still show it, I guess.
Absolutely, we want to see.
Yeah, this one is a bit older. It's the image I had done for the Kit Bash 3D Industrial Kit cover image. For Max Berman, I did this, so that was a couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah, that was in 2016, I think, or 17.
Actually, it was in 2018, or December 2017, actually. And
Yeah.
it was released in January 2018, I think.
Yeah, Max made a lot of those kit bashes. They're awesome. I know that a lot of people are using them.
Yeah, definitely. Right? Those are really cool. I mean, whenever I want to do an image without wanting to design too much stuff, you know, I just want to have fun. Well, I would grab just a kit from Kit Bash 3D and trying to do something.
Yeah. It
So it's
speeds
always
up
fun.
it speeds up so the process a lot because
Yeah, absolutely.
it speeds it up because you have the elements and everything that you can put everywhere there, you know.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah. So in this case, once again, I started from a base image. And in this case, I think the process is even more visible. So I can show you the base image I had, which was this one.
Okay. You're again putting the composition, color, and everything there with that image, right?
Yeah, when I see this image, it has exactly everything that I need. And so the only thing that I will do is replace the city that is in my photo with my own city. So I will take the lighting informations, the time of the day, the sky, the fog from the photo, and I will apply it to my image.
I see. And what kind of resolutions are those images that you work on?
It depends. I actually don't know for this one. Typically it's 4K. Yeah, it's 4K.
Yeah, 4K.
I mean, typically I try to work twice the final resolution. So if the final resolution is 4K, then I will work in 8K.
I see.
Yeah, but I will never go under twice the final resolution.
And where do you get those photos from? You get them from Quixel Megascans with your 3D? Where do you
The
get
photos, I get them mostly from either Gumroad packs or mattpaint.com or photobash.org. Sometimes, very occasionally, I would get them from Shutterstock, but most of the time it's mattpaint.com or Gumroad, I think.
I see. Those are important links so people can
Yeah.
find them for their work.
Absolutely. This one is coming from mattpaint.com, and it's a really cool photo.
I see.
So from there I started to build my image. I think I first simply flipped the canvas, because why not?
Yeah.
Because I needed to extend the canvas. Then I just started to build once again my image, doing some slight paint over, changing the sky a little bit. And then I once again went to 3D to bash my scene, and this is the base render I got out of it.
Incredible.
So it's quite an old image now, so I can see a lot of stuff I would improve, but still.
What would you improve when you say that? I want to know.
Well, the first thing I would change, that's some technical bullshit. It's the color space, because this was done in default sRGB, and I'm sure every concept artist in the world works in that color space, because it is a default color space in any 3D application, but the problem is that it's a very outdated and limited color space. Now I work in something called ACES, which first is what we use in the industry because it's standard and it allows perfect compatibility between all the different softwares, departments, and footage coming from, I don't know, whatever camera.
I see.
But it's also like a super wide color space, so it will actually offer you a much higher dynamic range. So what I can see by looking at this render, okay, that is not in ACES, that is in sRGB. I can just see it. It's hard to explain, but so that's one thing I would change.
Okay.
And I would have spent more time tweaking the shaders because here the reflections on the metal are way too harsh. I mean, I remember I did this image very, very fast because I was really in a hurry. I think I took like 3 days to do everything. So that is also the reason why everything doesn't look perfect to my eye, but still looks okay, I guess.
It looks great. If you ask me, it looks great.
Thanks, man. And actually, I think did a second render. Yeah, you can see here. And I changed slightly the volumetrics to have some God rays. I don't know if you can see them, but just slightly changed the sun position, I think.
And they are changing a lot, the composition and the whole image when you move them like that.
Yeah.
You can really sense it, yeah.
And it's all about that, you know. I do a lot of those very small tweaks. Usually I get, I guess, 90% of the image quite quickly. Then the rest is just about refining, looking at it over and over again and doing little tweaks. So after that, what I would do is to, just paint over, I think, you know, adding tiny people. I don't know if you can see them. Ding.
Yeah, they're really small, but we can see them.
Yeah, I can. You can see here.
There is a love couple and there is a guy behind them that's gonna hit them with a baseball bat.
Yeah. So, you know, just adding those tiny details that it would be stupid to spend more time in 3D doing if you can do it in Photoshop.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff in 3D, but this kind of stuff makes no sense for me to do it in 2D, you know, so.
But it gives a lot of realism, that kind of details. I mean, even in design, when I'm working, there is that, you get the final image, and then there is that extra 20% that gives it so much more realism if you push it to that 20%. It takes time, of course, and it's boring.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy boring because you're putting tiny people, and I'm putting tiny details, but it makes design 200% better, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I painted some additional lights. I hope you can see them.
Yeah.
So for that, I just grabbed chunks of photos, mostly cities at night. And I just put those chunks of photos like in screen mode or lighten mode. It depends. So that's how I would do all those lights. And then I keep on painting tiny details, like improving the textures, changing slightly the fog, adding more haze.
Yeah.
Just tiny adjustment, you know. It's just really tiny stuff that keeps on adding up, like more photo elements you can see here, just to add more details, you know, more buildings. So I think I took those actually from the base image that I used. I just cut out some buildings and pasted them back over my render. Then adding some smoke, some more adjustment, some more smoke.
Yeah, smoke. I can see that smoke and fog play a big part in your work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How did you learn that kind of smoke? I know that you observe nature, but is there any specific way how you learn those smoke and fog? Because I think that in environment art, the fog is the hardest to master, and I think you grasp it really, really good.
I think I can't think of anything specific I ever did. I think when I started, like the first year, I did a lot of purely 2D painting, photo studies. And that probably helped a lot, I think, having a good eye. So I did a ton of environment studies, very quick, maybe 1 hour, purely 2D painting. I'm sure they were shit if I look at them now, but that probably helped me a lot, you know.
But they gave you the knowledge so you can know what's happening.
Yeah, I think it's really about having a good eye and being able to recognize when it's correct or when it's not. So it's really not about technique. You can do the fog however you want, but it's just about knowing when it looks right and when it doesn't.
I see.
Yeah. So same, more haze, and that's almost basically it. Then I added a crane in the foreground to balance the composition a little bit more.
That crane is improved it quite a lot now.
Yeah. And then just some post effects, I think. Let me see what I have here. Now I would do those post effects in Nuke. Actually, I did it in Photoshop just to go faster because it was just for a still image. But let me see. So yeah, we have some light trap going on here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
Just makes the light a bit softer. We have apparently some additional smoke, I think. Okay, yeah, just to make it a bit stronger. What else do we have? Oh, here we have the color correction layers. Okay, so we have a lens flare, very subtle. We have a second lens flare, very subtle as well. Then we have a gradient map, so to increase a bit more the contrast and saturation. What else? We have an exposure, color adjustment layer, and another exposure layer. So yeah, it's just tiny adjustment, but that add up and in the end actually make quite a drastic difference.
I see. Yeah, it's changing the image. It's changing the image as you change
Yeah.
the values and the color. It's really changing the image.
Yeah. So and here also I have a final version apparently that I just added clouds on the left I see, and also some gloom effect, and typically to do that, what I would do, and I can quickly show it here, is that once I have my image finished, I would just, merge everything, duplicate the layer, put it into lighten mode. Then you can just do a Gaussian blur, and now you have this nice, gloom effect, and you can just mask it and choose wherever you want to have it, I guess.
Ah, I see. Yeah. That is a great trick.
Yeah, you can have it here, for example. So it gives this dreamy look to the image, I guess. It's a bit more stylized, but it can be nice sometimes. Depends.
I like it quite a lot. It gives it's giving really a cool effect.
Yeah. So that's about it, really. I mean, it's pretty much the same process once again. I start from a base image, then I build my scene in CG, and then I just paint over.
I like it. It looks amazing, Steven. It looks amazing. I love it so much.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
What people are asking? Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
What people are asking now, guys, if you have more questions, ask. I will ask all of these questions to Steven that you posted. We have around 15 to 20 minutes more because time flies when you're seeing this cool stuff. And what they are asking, they are interested to see about the world builder stuff. Can you show them some stuff with that?
The what? Sorry, can you repeat that?
The world builder.
World builder. What is world builder?
in a world machine, man.
World machine.
I don't know why I call it world builder, but in my head it's always world builder.
Oh, I don't think I have world machine on this machine. Because it's my new computer and I actually don't use world machine that often. But if you want to know how I use world machine, well, you can just open world machine, then you open one of the example worlds they have, and you just tweak it and export it.
Smart. Whatever it's needed to do the good effect. And what I want to ask you is, since you're showing us this kind of stuff, and I know that many people would like to learn from you, first question is, do you have a Gumroad?
No, but it's something I cannot quite talk about, but very soon, probably during this summer, I have a big tutorial that is coming out.
Perfect, because I will be the first one to buy it, man. I want to see this goodness. I want to see it because it's looking amazing. So guys, you heard
Thanks, dude.
Steven is making a first tutorial that he's gonna drop very soon, and I advise you strongly to buy it because this is awesome stuff.
Cool. I mean, it's gonna be a tutorial that is gonna be really about what I do at work. So about doing like finished shots, animated shots from scratch to finish. And if you are more interested in the 2D stuff, like the Photoshop stuff that I do with some 3D for still images, I think I still have the IFCC Academy course I did a few years ago that is still online maybe. It's a bit outdated now, but if you're only interested into the Photoshop stuff, you can always grab this one, I think.
Yeah, but they are asking also, can you show them anything from the Nuke? Or I don't know if you work in Nuke because they are asking the question.
Yep, I do work in Nuke. This is live stream online, right?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Because I cannot show too much stuff, unfortunately.
Then let's not. What you can, if you can, because they are asking for it. If you can't, it's not a problem. We are already seeing really cool stuff.
Let me quickly see.
Please don't open something, so I have to erase the video.
No, I'm gonna try not to spoil anything. Just give me a minute to see what I can actually show. Sure. And just to be sure that I don't show anything I can't, I'm gonna first put this on my second screen.
Okay, let's do it like that.
just to be sure that I don't show anything that is NDA. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, this is actually a spoiler. I won't tell exactly what it's about, and I'm just gonna show it for a few seconds. It's something that is in progress. It's a shot I'm doing. Because we are online, it's actually taking a long time to calculate, so I'm gonna just show a few frames of it. It's a shot I'm doing here. So this is fully CG.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I cannot show it moving because it's gonna take too much time to calculate, but that's all I can show.
Enough. There, guys, you saw the magic for a couple of seconds, but magic always lasts a couple of seconds.
Now, I mean, it depends. One thing I can quickly talk about maybe is that when you do the job that I do, so matte painter, one of the key tools we use is called camera projections. And that, to keep it simple, consists into making a 2D image 3D, so making a 2D image by projecting it onto geometry. Mm-hmm. So that might be tricky to understand at first. And I have here a very basic example. It's nothing exciting to look at, but it shows quite clearly the process. So I hope I can show it, that it's not going to be too heavy, but I don't think so. There you have it. It's not perfect, but as you can see, it does look like it's a 3D animation, except it is not. It is simply a single frame that is projected onto geometry. And that is one of the tools we use the most as a matte painter. That means that once you have done your image inside of Photoshop, you can actually animate it by projecting it using those techniques. And here you can see in the 3D view. So it is an image that is projected into a very basic geometry that you can see here.
You took that from the photos and you projected it on it?
Yeah, I mean, this is a 3D render in this case, but you can also do it with photos. And you just project that into a very basic geometry that you can see here.
That is in Nuke?
That is in Nuke, yeah, this is Nuke. And so when you look at it through the shot cam, you will have the illusion that it is actually a 3D animation, even though it is not. It is a single frame that is projected. So that is a very powerful tool that helps you having the Photoshop control over your image, but still being able to animate it.
Yeah, it is really a useful tool, I can see, and you can use it. I already see in my head many things that you can do with it.
Yeah.
Did you learn the Nuke by yourself? Are you self-taught?
Pretty much. I mean, I learned everything by myself, or obviously by looking at online courses. So once again on Cormann. And when it comes to matte painting projections, you also have the mattepaintingforfilm.com website. Mm-hmm. That is really cool, on which they have this course called the Camera Projection Boost Camp. So that's where I learned most of what I know about camera projections in Nuke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very useful software, and I don't know that many guys in concept art use it. I think you are one of the rare ones, and it gives you such a good advantage because everything that moves looks much better. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you know, all those things you do in Photoshop to make the image more pretty. Well, you can actually do it in Nuke, but much better.
Yeah, you give it that extra effect, and everything that's alive looks much better. I know that from my work when I'm working on it and I animate some kind of part that's moving, people are like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And I'm like, "It's just a simple."
Hello, I cannot hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can.
Something happened for a second in a connection. So
no problem.
As I was saying, when I post something in a clay render, for example, just a screenshot from Blender, and people see it, they are like, "Oh my God, it's moving so good." And I'm like, I spent 10 days rendering a vehicle, and you are telling me now that the clay render is better than this? I mean, come on. So yeah, it is that extra
I know the feeling. I love clay renders, and it's sometimes frustrating, because you spend days, weeks shading something, lighting it, then you just look at the clay render and it looks better.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, that's the feeling, you know.
I know the feeling, yeah.
Do you want to show us more process?
Well, I can show one last one very quickly. So
let's do it. We have 10 more minutes, so we can...
Okay, well, it's once again the same process. You know, I start from a base image. In this case, it's this one. And I build my environment on top of it. So usually whatever is really in the background is just 2D painting and photos, like you can see here. So that is just really simple Photoshop stuff. Using photo chunks. And then as I move closer to the camera, that is when I will start to introduce some 3D, like here. So this is actually like the clay render of my 3D.
Beautiful. This is beautiful. What are you rendering this? Octane?
Redshift.
This is a Redshift. And did you try any other softwares when you were rendering?
Yeah. I mean, I can use also V-Ray, a little bit of Arnold, but not too much. Mostly V-Ray and Redshift. I love V-Ray, but I use Redshift at home because it's much faster for cheaper.
What gives it such an advantage to other software? Why are you using that render?
Well, yeah, I'm not that good when it comes to technical stuff, so I don't know really everything in theory, but Redshift is a GPU-based render engine, and it's easily the fastest there is for now. And and the thing is that if you wanted to have like a render engine like V-Ray go as fast as Redshift, well, you would need to have like a crazy good CPU, like a double Xeon stuff that would cost like thousands and thousands of dollars. While here with Redshift, you can run like the single decent good card, like a 1080, or in my case, I have 2080s. They're a bit pricey, but still, like I have two 2080s for the moment, so that's about $2,000, and it's extremely fast. It's like at least 10 times faster than V-Ray. So that's the main advantage about Redshift. That it's just extremely fast. Like a render like this one, I think I got it in like about 45 seconds, something like this. This is like the raw render. It's like 45 seconds, maybe a bit more for this one, obviously, but still, you can get like renders in a matter of seconds.
I mean, 45 seconds, man, that's super fast. It's a snap of a finger, literally. Like like a Thanos.
Yeah, and if you're like a concept artist, well, you don't even need to wait for like a super pretty render. You can just screenshot, then start to paint over. So
yeah, I work in a Keyshot, and now I'm moving a bit to Octane. I know other renders, Mental Ray, I know, but Redshift now looks very promising to me.
Yeah, I mean, Octane is also a GPU-based render engine. It's also really cool. I just prefer Redshift because it's still faster to me, and also because it's more production-oriented. So it's more oriented for a VFX pipeline. So that's why I need it at work. But for concept artists, I think Octane is really good. And a lot of concept artists use it.
I want to ask you one more question because I didn't tackle it. And we talked about texturing. You said you use procedural and you make it like that. Are your models unwrapped or they are not?
No, they're not. Either I would do like a very basic automatic UV wrapping, or I would actually use projected textures. And I don't know if you know what that is. I can maybe actually quickly show that if we have 5 more minutes.
We have 15 more minutes. It's not a problem.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to quickly show that because it's something I think a lot of people don't know. So let me just quickly enable Redshift here, and I hope it doesn't crash.
There is my ex-girlfriend, Maya. Now I'm cheating her with the Blender.
So I'm just going to create a basic scene here, and I hope it works. Okay, let me create a ground plane here. So this is my ground here. Let me just move around the sun. So when you do texturing in 3D, you can either use the UV space of your model, or you can use the world space. So your textures will be projected onto the geometry, exactly like I showed inside of Nuke. So this is my cube, and I'm actually going to create 2 cubes. And I'm going to use the Megascan bridge here to import a shader. Let me quickly see which one I can import.
Oh my god, this is awesome. You're showing us immediately a process. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man. So I'm going to first copy my little Python scripts to make the live link work. So I have this window that is popping up here. And I'm going to choose, this shader here. So let's put it in 4K, and I'm going to export this. And it's going to be exporting to my scene in a few seconds. It is exported now. So I think on the cube on the left now,
So immediately it makes a bridge connection to Maya immediately from the render.
Yeah,
oh my
absolutely.
God.
Absolutely.
I need this. I need this now.
Just going to increase the number of subdivisions so I can use the displacement map. The scale is too high for now, so I'm going to diminish it by 100. That might be too low, though. So let's try 0.1, just so it looks a bit better. Okay, it's a cube, so obviously it won't look really good. A sphere would be more appropriate for this. Let's do this. Yeah, we're going to do spheres instead of cubes. It's going to be better. So I'm going to assign my roof material to this. Like this. There you go. And now I can enable the displacement. Still way too strong. Okay, so now on the right you have the shader that is using the UV space of the sphere. Now, what I'm going to do is create a second version of the same shader, but I'm going to use projections instead. So I'm going to duplicate my shader in the hypershade here. And so this is the graph network. So as you can see, the textures are plugged in directly in my shader. But what you can do instead is create projection. And let's do it first for the albedo map. So I'm going to plug in my albedo inside of the projection. And I'm going to plug the projection into the diffuse color slot. And it's going to be a triplanar projection. There you go. And I'm going to create fit to box. Yeah, create a placement node. And now let's see how this looks. So I'm going to apply my second. Probably not going to look right away. Oh, but still, it does. It's just that I don't have the displacement map working. I only have the albedo map. But on the left, it is using the world space, and on the right, it's using the UVs. So the texture is projected onto the geometry. That's what it is.
I mean, this is, I have in my head now thinking about it, and I'm gonna try Redshift tonight, literally. Like, this is great, man, because it speeds up the process so much, and thank you so much for showing it. Yeah,
Cheers,
this is
man.
great. This is great stuff.
And you can create like blend materials, you know. So if I, for example, put as a base color my roof shader, and so let's apply the blend material now to our sphere. Like this. Okay, and now I can go back to the bridge and I can blend another material with this. What could it be? I don't know. It can be maybe snow. What do I have here? Yeah, we can probably export some snow. And what I can do now is put the snow in my blend material. So I'm going to grab back my blend material and I'm going to put the snow into it. First, I'm going to put it to 100%. So now my sphere should appear white because of the snow. Just going to take a few seconds for the textures to load. There you go. So now I can blend the two shaders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's giving an effect. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have different ways you can blend that together. For example, you can use a ramp along with the, let me quickly think, a curvature node, for example. So those are ways of texturing without having to do any like super advanced textures. Let me quickly remember exactly where I need to plug this actually, because I don't even remember.
No worries, man. Too much, a lot of info. I understand you completely. And it's
right, so
when everybody when they come to stream, it is a little bit stressed, you know, because you need to hit it right so people don't say something.
Yeah.
But mistakes happen, so it's not a problem.
Yeah. So now I will need to plug in the projection inside of my blend color, I think. And now if I play with the ramp, sorry, I can do something like this maybe. And let's play with the curvature node here. Yeah, you can control it. The geometry is not the best to control this actually. It's not the best example. Instead, let me just quickly, let's actually just use the ramp to control it. So projection, it's gonna be a planar projection, fit to box. And now you can see it. You can use, once again, a projected ramp to decide where you want to have the snow on this ball here.
And it looks like snow is on the top.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea.
Yeah, very cool. I like how you're blending concept art with the VFX. I really love it. Really love it because you're really master of it and it's amazing. It's amazing.
So, you know, instead of like spending time doing like a super complex texture with snow and a roof, well, I just grab stuff from the Megascanner bridge and I just blend all that together directly inside of Maya using the blend materials and all those utility nodes like curvature, ramp, etc.
Yeah, you are Steven. You are really master of what you're doing, and it's always fun to see that kind of stuff because I mean, you're looking the master, guys, how he does it. Look how amazing this is. In a couple of minutes, he made it, and I can see that because your kind of work, the things that you're doing, it has such a wide range where it can be used.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Yeah.
me, that's very impressive.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
What I wanted to ask you is, uh, where will you see you this year? Will you be coming to any festivals? Will you be a lecturer anywhere? Or
Well,
next year?
as I said, I'm skipping most festivals this year except THU. So I wasn't sure I was going to go because once again, it felt like most of my friends were not going, but in the end, a few are going. So I'm still going to go at THU. But outside of that, I actually don't know. This year, I mean, I pretty much decided to work in house and not to travel too much. But next year, I will probably travel a lot more, I think.
Yeah, next year then we will see you everywhere, I suppose, because you deserve
Yeah.
to present everywhere. But this year on the THU, we'll grab a couple of drinks again.
Sure, for sure. Absolutely, man.
Will you be playing drums?
Hopefully, I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't played since THU, actually. I haven't touched the drum set since THU, so I hope I will not be too rusty.
Perfect time then to do it again on the
Exactly.
THU.
Yeah,
With-
absolutely.
With Shuzo and other guys.
Yeah.
Good times, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
And do you have any plans in the future except for your short for your personal project? What are other plans about your career?
Well, for my career, I mean, I try not to talk too much, I guess, about my future plans because I'd rather, let people discover what I do. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I felt like now I'm at a point where, okay, now I'm established as a matte painter. So for me, the next step is to focus more on personal work, so especially film. So I would probably like to move to a directing career at some point.
Directing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you as a director. I can really see you as a director. I think you can make some really, 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 really cool stuff.
I mean, that's sort of why I got into the industry. And as I said, all I want to do is cool and inspiring stuff. So I'm really not that interested anymore, like in the technique and stuff like that. So I'd rather much more, tell stories and do like inspiring visual work. I'm not that interested into the technique and stuff like that.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, guys, this is episode 13. We had amazing Steven Cormann. So happy to have you here, Steven.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope that you learned a lot, guys, because he has shown us quite a lot, and I am such a huge fan of his work that this was mind blown. I'm like mind blown literally now, though I'm not screaming and stuff like that because I can't on my stream. But I'm super happy that he was with us, and hit the subscribe button, guys. What can I say for new guests like this? Steven, thank you one more time.
Thank you so much.
I will see you on THU.
Absolutely.
You have drinks on me whole night.
Absolutely.
It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
Bye, guys. Bye, Steven.
Bye, man. Thank you very much.